Today, we're going to talk about one of the big ones, and it is around my relationship isn't the same after having kids. My relationship is hard after having kids. It is difficult. It is trying. We cannot seem to reconnect. We cannot seem to get the intimacy and the passion back after having kids. This is something, then again, I hear of a lot of couples struggling with. Before kids, it was fine. And then after kids, it just started going downhill and we don't really know why. Or sometimes there's a couple of things that people can identify and they go, it was probably that. And then other times it's, I just don't know where it went wrong. Firstly, obviously, it's important to identify where it went wrong, what happened. And usually you can roughly pinpoint what happened, what started going sideways, and that's useful. But in today's episode, I want to give you my absolute top 10 ways that you can reconnect, that you can get things back on track, but also managing standards and expectations. Should we still be in the honeymoon phase once we've had kids? Should we still feel like that, like butterflies in our tummy, or should they be gone? What does that look like? And for every couple, it's very different. And so I'm going to give you like a different snapshots of what it looks like for different couples in different phases with different age kids. And perhaps also the expectations and the different things that you need to get in place really to have a strong marriage. And then secondly, have a strong family. The strong marriage comes before the strong family. Super important to understand. And often we're busy trying to create the strong family. And what we don't understand is the marriage or the relationship is the foundation of the strong, happy, united family. Extraordinarily important to understand and be aware of. So I will have couples come to me. Many different things will happen. So something that does happen sometimes after having children, there can be a lot of anxiety, maybe postnatal depression, stress, no sleep, obviously. It's a big one. Struggling with a new routine, struggling with extra mess, extra chaos in our house. Even though they're like beautiful and sleeping, it is more, right? It's just more. That's not bad nor good. It just is what it is. And sometimes there's some mental health issues thrown in there. Sometimes there's a lot of identity crisis around being a new mom, coming to be a new mom. My body is different. So maybe I don't want to be as intimate as I did before. A lot of couples experience a lot of different things. Like a lot of new moms will say, it is a shock. It is a shock to look in the mirror after having children and see what my new body looks like. It looks different. It wears clothes differently, even if you bounce back like that. Yeah. And often this is more common around baby 2 and 3 and 4, that kind of thing. But it can be common after baby 1 because there's a big identity crisis. Sometimes our friends don't have babies. Sometimes we're the only one. We feel like we're isolated. We're not going to work perhaps. And we're at home a lot more. And it changes the dynamic. And it's you have to find that inner peace within yourself. You have to find that new routine that works. You have to find what this new version, insert your name 2.0. So like for me, it would be Laura 2.0. What would that look like? And it looks different for every single person. And husbands and wives deal with this differently. I know that I have seen men get really scared after having a child, and I've seen women do the exact same thing and not cope very well. So it depends on the person. It depends on the experience and things like that. So I just want you to know that this happens a lot. You are not alone, but what you've got to do is find out what your relationship looks like now and how you can either heal past resentments, pain, trauma, or difficult situations in the past so you can move forward, and how you can create that new rhythm and routine and mindset in your marriage and relationship. Can I tell you a lot of this is mindset? It's only as hard as we make it. Now, let me be clear. I am not sugarcoating that having children and having a relationship is easy. Certainly not. There's a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of things that happen. But there are things that you can do to make it easier. And it's all about how you approach it and think about it. So if I approach my day every single day thinking it's going to be super hard and super challenging, guess what I get every single day? Challenges. Come up against things that I don't want to come up against. So what is it that you want to have? What mindset do you want to have when you get up every day? Now, I'm not talking about like fully Pollyanna, although that sounds all right. I'm talking about like realistically, how could you just tweak it or reframe it slightly so when you get up, you have a better expectation around your day? Mindset is a huge one around it. And just knowing that, yes, just because you have a child, it makes it harder to get out. Yes, it does. but you can also prioritize your relationship. I have seen couples with 7 kids, 8 kids, 10 kids prioritize their relationship. I've seen them with 1 kid prioritize their relationship. The number doesn't matter, and I'm not saying it's not extra workload. Of course it is. I'm it's not ridiculous about it, but it depends on your priorities. So let me be clear. The first foremost thing is to prioritize communication. A lot of couples, when they get into babyland or they've got 2 or 3 kids, they are so busy, they forget each other. They forget to communicate what they need, their feelings, their concerns, and they feel like ships passing in the night. No one is connecting. It is just pure logistics talk. If I can give you one big tip from this is you need to talk to each other like man and woman. You need to think about how you talk to them. Now, like, of course you need to talk about logistics stuff. Of course you need to talk about the kids, but there needs to be some part of your day or week where you are talking to each other like a man and woman. You are giving compliments, you're giving appreciations, you are getting back to the fundamentals of your relationship. Crazy important, because what I get in sessions a lot is people can't give a compliment or appreciation that isn't to do with logistics or kids. I kid you not. So I'm going to give you this challenge of going to your partner, and I want you to only talk about their, like, a physical characteristic, like they look great, or one thing that's meaningful and specific to them. And I want you to talk about the personal characteristics, so like their kind, loving, caring, like personal trait that drew them to you, that magnetized them to you, and get back to start talking about stuff like that and sprinkle that in throughout the week. So it's not just the appreciations for them as mum, taxi driver, chef, whatever it might be. They are all good, by the way, but when we're wanting to get our relationship back on track, this is the stuff we need to focus on. Schedule quality time. Now, this isn't sexy because you're going to schedule it. It is once you get out the door. Let me be clear. So if you've got family members or people you can swap babysitting with, or you've got the funds to get a babysitter, take the time, get some child-free time. If you can't do that, put the kids to bed early. Yes, early. I know that most unpopular word I think to say is put your kids to bed early. It's good for them. Do it. Put them to bed early and have a date night and be intentional about it. Spend some quality time together. Ask good questions. Be open and curious about what's going on with the other person. It goes such a long way in your relationship. Give them your full attention and give them your eye contact. Shocking, right? Number 3 is share responsibilities. So mental load and pressures can really get to some people, and it gets to a lot of people at times, all of us, let's face it. But there are times where it's more weighty. If you can just ask your partner and talk about it, it decreases the resentment, the stress around it, and it makes the load easier. It doesn't feel like it's all on them. And as we get deeper into parenthood, as our kids grow up, it becomes easier over time, right? They learn to do stuff for themselves. You get in the rhythm. You get the rhythm that everything changes, that nothing stays the same, that they get new wants and needs all of the time. Like, you just get used to it and you just start going with it. And I think that's more of a thing for us to learn as parents, of letting go of what it looks like, the control, sometimes even letting go of the mess in the house. It's okay if there's couple of hot spots, you'll get to them when you can get to them. Sleep's more important. And you've got to weigh them up when you're a parent. What is more important? Sleep, good nutrition, good hydration, maybe some movement. The basics are super important, especially if you're in newborn phase or even toddler phase. Get the basics dialed in so you can be a good partner. If you don't have the basics dialed in, you're not going to be a good partner. I know that sounds harsh, but I'm not a good partner when I don't have good sleep or good nutrition or good hydration or even exercise. You need to show up as your best version of yourself as much as you can. Now, sometimes it's not possible to get out and get exercise. So you maybe do 10 squats in the living room and call it a day. Maybe it's not possible to get extra sleep because you're trying and the baby keeps waking. It's okay. You just do what you can. You take the pressure off and just let it be okay. And the next one is number 4. Be patient and kind with one another. Parenthood is demanding and we do get irrational and irritated and we have different perspective on things, and that's okay. So just be patient and be kind. Number 5 is keep the intimacy alive. Don't wait 10,000 years after you've had a child unless there's a medical reason. before you get intimacy back in your life. Other than what you need to do medical wise, there's no reason to wait an inordinate amount of time. And usually the couples that wait usually end up a year, 2 years, 3 years down the track, just not being able to connect again. It's come weird. I don't even know how to begin. Who knows who's initiating? It's the chicken and the egg situation. I don't know what comes first. Like, it just becomes this big thing that doesn't need to be this big thing. So be really creative with your time and focus on staying connected. It's going to look different now. So if you've got a baby, maybe it's when they go to sleep in their cot, in their room, then you guys go and have that private time together. Or even if they're falling asleep in your bed, then get out of your room and go to a different room. I know these things happen when they're teething or they're sick or whatever. Absolutely. So just about getting a little bit more creative. It's not as cut as dry as it once was pre-kids, and that's fine. It's just about thinking outside the box and what this now looks like for you. And I would say take opportunities. Take every opportunity you can. For example, today, it's a Friday as I'm recording this, and it was 11:30, 12 o'clock today that I said to my husband, let's just go. Let's go out for lunch. So him and I went out for lunch, had a glass of wine at midday on a Friday. And it wasn't planned. It wasn't pre-booked in. It was just like we had the opportunity, the opening on the calendar. He works shifts. I work weird hours too. And it was like, let's just do it. We have the time and space. Life isn't meant to be a grind. So when you have the opportunity, the time and space, the babysitter for the kids, you use it. When the opportunity presents, take it. I see so many couples that will actually say they don't have the support and that sort of thing. And that's true for a lot. But then there's another lot of couples that have the support, they have the options and just don't take it. Or they take it for dumb stuff. Like, I know I shouldn't say dumb, but they're taking it for silly stuff. Like the boring stuff. Use it to cultivate your relationship because it drives other things forward in your life. Makes you happier and healthier. It makes you both more loved and more connected, and makes you want to do more of this stuff, right? It's a positive feedback loop. The more you do, the more you want to do together. Yeah. It's like intimacy. The more you have, the more you want to have it. Typically speaking, not for everyone, but typically speaking. So parenting styles when we have kids is a huge one. It comes up all of the time. And the joyful thing about it is that sometimes, all of the time, our kids grow and change. So we get it sorted at one age group, what discipline and parenting looks like, and then they grow and change, and then we've got a new level, right? It looks different again. The standards for them have raised because they're a bit older, they can do a little more. And so it's an understanding conversation about why the other person thinks that's the right way to go, why you think it is, and talking about it in a proactive way and coming to a positive agreement. Sometimes it's a values conversation too. So I help couples work through that because it's really important. It can take a lot of stress off when we can get the discipline in place, when we can get that sort of the parenting style stuff out of the way and just focus on life, kids, relationship, fun. Seek help. Number 7 is seek help. So if you need help, don't wait. I always say couples wait 7 years because they do to get counseling, and there's 7 years of pain, hurt, throwing all the grenades towards one another and saying all the things we shouldn't say, and then we got to try and work that back and all these things. Don't wait. Just get help. Sometimes it might only be such a tiny thing. Awesome. You only need one session probably. Then we move on. And you're great to go. Do you know what I mean? When you need medicine from a doctor, you go to a doctor, you get the medicine, you take the medicine, you move on. Same thing for your relationship. You need help, you go to a counselor, you work through the thing, and then you've got some actions, great, you go and implement them, and then you can move on, depending on what it is, of course. Number 8 is celebrate the small wins. If you manage to get your child to sleep through the night, or all the kids sleep through the night, celebrate. If you manage to get through the day and the house is clean at the end of the day and you've got dinner on, and celebrate the small stuff because it matters, and it matters really hugely when you're in the trenches of parenthood. It's a win to have a shower some days when you're a mum. It's a win to get dinner on and it's be hot and ready, or to have the house clean some days because everything went sideways and there was teething and sickness and whatever. Like, these things are a win, and celebrate them. It's a win if you get out for date night. It's a win if you spend that quality time, or you have a decent conversation where you genuinely interact and engage and remain open and curious about each other and what's going on for one another. Number 9 is actually to maintain individual identities. So a lot of couples will start just like merging. And this is where people will say, I lost myself in the relationship. Yeah, because you didn't maintain a sense of who you are and you waited for the other person or followed the other person. And good to do those sorts of things at the right time, but you still need to know what you want and what you need and what interests you have and have your own time. Everyone needs some time to watch the things that they like that their partner doesn't like, or to chill and watch the dumb stuff. I have a lot of women say, yeah, just to watch the dumb reality shows or to the drama shows or whatever it is. Cool, great, do that. Number 10 is to laugh and I laugh together. Humor is such a great stress reliever. Like, I throw jokes into my sessions. I cannot help it. Like, at the right times. Let me be clear. Because therapy is not meant to be difficult. Therapy is not meant to be hard. And life isn't all of the time. Yes, we'll have hard seasons. We'll have hard conversations. We'll have hard times. Or yes, of course. But on a whole and all of the time, it doesn't need to be that like that. There should be fun and play and laughter and flirting in your relationship. You should have that in your relationship. There should be play. There should be joy. There should be like just silliness for the sake of silliness. And the couples that I see that are really struggling, that are really just struggling to get forward, move forward, to make positive choices as a couple, or they just don't have the laughter. They're not willing to write anything off as just, oh, that was just a day. Like that, who even knows what that was? Or that argument, I'm sorry, I went a bit crazy about whatever. Just forget it because I was just stressed and it really had nothing to do with anything. If that happens in my relationship, I will hands down come back and say, look, I temporarily lost it. And I'm sorry, it's not about you, it's about me. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed about XYZ. Can you please help me with XYZ if that part of the conversation is needed? So own your own stuff, because when you both own your stuff, the relationship becomes so easier. When you've had a heck of a day, look at each other and be like, we don't know if it all went well, but we're still alive. We're still here and we're living for another day and we can do better tomorrow. Laugh about it. Who cares? As long as everybody's alive and happy and healthy, it's a win. Take the wins, and not everything should be so serious. If I could inject some fun and joy and happiness into some households, like, whew, that would make such a difference. So I know being a parent is challenging and hard, but I also know that there are habits that we dial in to remain connected all of the time. So even if we're shift workers, even if we feel like ship's passing in the night, even if we have 5 kids and life is chaotic and crazy and everyone's going in different directions and they always need something from you. Just on that as well, make sure you're taking some time out for yourself as a parent, even if it's 2 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's just a long shower. It's good for your mental health and everyone needs it. I just want to reiterate that you can have a loving, connected, passionate, turned on relationship. You just to have these habits dialed in. And in session, we go into really specifics, the tangibles of what it looks like, the nitty gritty, all of these things. And it's so important. It's just so important to get these things dialed into your relationship. If you're looking for your next steps, you can comment me below. My email address is below, but please subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube and leave a review. It makes all of the difference. Or leave a comment if you're on YouTube. It makes such a difference. And I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And I look forward to talking to you next time.